making documentaries, you don't want to use your personal opinion too much, but it's a combination of it got caught up in politics and
ego.
Yeah, and then so this where's when it comes in. Well, that and a couple things. You know, Kentucky still thinks it was actually Native American origin, which is interesting. They still think that the rock itself was carved by a Native American, and they claim that they got.
I don't know the whole story, but I guess there's another rock somewhere in the river that is actually shaped like an Indian head.
Right. And then Jack Conway at the time was running for United States Senate, so he got some good publicity when he lost to Rand Paul.
Well, they say any-publicity is good publicity.
That's right.
I never went for that, but
and but you know, strip away the politics and all the ego from it all. It's sad that the rock's resting place after all of this is inside the maintenance garage in the county covered by a tarp. It doesn't even have lights in there to see it.
they probably said, well, that's where it was at in Portsmouth, but we left it there just for the fact there was so much. You know, we didn't know we couldn't go build a place for it, and we couldn't do anything until it was all settled.
Yeah. So start off with just tell us your name and the position you held here in the city when the rock was removed from the river back in 2007, 2008.
My name is Jim Kalb, James D. Kalb. I was mayor at the time of the whole rock issue. I was mayor for 6 years around that time.
So go back to the way before it was ever removed from the water. When did you first hear of Indian Head Rock?
You know, I had heard about it long before that, and then actually right before this come to light, before the rock was found, my wife and I were talking about it because she is really involved in history and everything like that, and she knew about the rock. And actually, when I say it was just a couple days before they come and told me about the rock, that she was talking something about it, and I remember how excited I was to go home that day and said, "You want to go see the rock?" You know, they had it out on a trailer, and she just, you know, she couldn't believe it. It was like, your kid, because I tease all the time, but she was really excited to be able to just look at it and, you know, see what she'd read about for so many years.
I have read accounts where it was actually called the Portsmouth Indian Head Rock, and then over the years it was just shortened to Indian Head Rock. And did it seem like it was more of a historical rock to Portsmouth, more so than any of the Kentucky towns on the other side of the river?
Absolutely. I don't know even how many miles down or up the river it was before there was actually a settlement, you know, in Kentucky. Portsmouth was a big settlement on the river in this area, and any old stories or anything about the rock was usually about Portsmouth citizens going over and having their picture taken on the rock. And of course, I guess it was used for a low water mark or something by everybody. They, you know, knew the rock was there, and it was kind of a judge as to how high the water was for the boats.
Yeah, and a famous picture I've seen is the lady on the rock.
Yeah.
She was from Portsmouth. So when you first heard of Steve Schaefer and his team that got the rock out of the river, what was the first thing that came to your mind then?
Well, I had the diving group, they come to my office and said that they were there to present me with something for the city. And I asked, well, it's bigger than a bread box, it's smaller than a car, so they had my interest up, and they explained what was going on. And at that time I told them, well, you know, that's funny. My wife and I were just talking about this, so, you know, I have some kind of idea, at least what it is. I wasn't a historian or have all the facts like my wife, but at least I had an idea of what they were talking about when they come over.
Did the city of Portsmouth embrace the rock after those guys, after it came out of the river?
Absolutely. You know, personally, I did, because, like I said, I had a little bit of the history, and I knew what it was, and it was an important piece of history that had been talked about through the years, and to finally have it to where, you know, you could actually take a look at it and lay a hand on it or something, you know, like a piece of history. And I did consider it history of Portsmouth, as I say. anywhere in the river, actually, by law, I guess, it's a higher river, but it's owned by Kentucky. But I didn't really see it as an ownership type thing. You know, nobody would own it. It's a piece of history, and I tried to fly with that, and I guess some people just didn't agree with that.
So where did you all plan on placing the rock?
We looked at a couple different places, and one I had in mind was right out next door to this building, right in kind of the tourist area where people were walking, you know, looking at the murals, and you know, we're in the Welcome Center, and what better place and have it right outside there in a climate-controlled environment, and just someplace where everybody could see what it was.
So at what point after Steve and his team came and talked to you about the rock, and did Kentucky get involved with laws and the whole